Hey guys, welcome to the Big Blue United podcast. My name is TJ. I'm here with Dan and Colin, hanging out, having a good time. Here we are in the off season. Super Bowl is behind us. We're hitting free agency. Things are feeling good. Hey guys, trivia question: what's John Wayne's real name?
Oh, it's like Stacy or something.
No.
No.
Marlon Morrison. No,
Marlon.
Marion Morrison. Excuse me, Marion. I saw you, Colin, and the viewers might not know this. I should say listeners, because we get a lot more listens than YouTube views at this point.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I should say that Marlon was a nickname of yours in college. So as soon as I saw your face, I just immediately was like, Marlon. Where did that even come from anyway?
I can tell you exactly where it came from. It was, oh man, what was the name of the center for the Browns that everyone used in Madden? And
it's not Marlon Humphrey. No, he was.
No, it wasn't even Marlon. There's levels to how it.
Oh,
built.
okay, yeah. I'll never. Is it not Jeff Fain? Is it?
No, it's LaCharles. It's LaCharles.
Oh, Charles Bentley.
Of course. That's exactly who it was. And then you started calling me Charles, and then it changed into Marls.
Weird marijuana infused bull session of some kind.
Something like that. And I think Nick started calling me Marls, and then it just kind of.
And here we are today, not calling you that on this podcast. As usual, guys, please follow Big Blue United on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow us, BBU Podboys with a Z on Twitter. If you want to argue on Marjorie Green Taylor's Twitter account posts with me, I'm there. Come find me.
I'm living there right now.
I've been there
waiting for the next tweet to come out.
It's President's Day. I've been all day, guys. Just hang out with me.
Doing my duty.
Don't forget to download the DraftKings app. Use promo code TPPN when you sign up. And our sponsor today is Hey Dude, which is a footwear company. Colin, I believe. Can you tell us a little bit about Hey Dude?
Yes. So I got this lovely shoe. It's like a wallaby / sneaker kind of bottom chill wear. You got the Hey Dude there. You can't really see it very well because of the lighting in here, but it is a very comfortable, very light. I think it's going to be a wonderful spring and summer shoe, and I feel like I like sneakers, I like shoes, but I wanted to get a little weird with it, and I got a nice little, the pattern's different. I'm reaching back into my hippie soul somehow. No pun intended, or pun intended.
Full disclosure.
Well, that too. Yeah. That helps. She actually I picked these, and she was just like, "Yeah, you got those, huh?" And I'm like, "Yes, I wanted to go."
What it takes.
Well, I sometimes you gotta be brave. And if you need to be brave to have style, and I mean, you know this, and I'm pumped on them because you slip them on. I can run to get some milk or you get some gas or whatever. Slip them on, come back real quick, easy, and it's called Hey Dude. I mean, what's there not to like?
All right, yeah. I mean, those shoes are awesome. I'm definitely into it. I checked the website; they got a lot of cool stuff on there. Not just that crazy pattern. There are more tame items you could purchase as well,
and like sneakers, they have like somewhat more formal wear-ish kind of looking. There's stuff all across the board you can get, but I wanted to go a little little fun.
I like that. And you can check them out at heydude.com, not to be confused with the Nickelodeon show of the same name.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Dude.com. And just because Colin said this, I think we're going to say you need to be brave to have style. Heydude.com.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into it. I think we have to start. I think we've taken a few weeks off from Daniel Jones, so might as well do it. Daniel Jones has switched agents, so clearly this is something that needs to be talked about. From what I was gathering and reading, I know we all shared a couple articles with each other today. It could be one of two things. One being that he's willing to accept a deal for less than his old agent CAA was willing to accept. And two, he wants more money than CAA was willing to get. So there's one thing I want to note about his new agents, Athletes First. They've negotiated the largest deal in NFL history at the time on 5 occasions. And with quarterbacks Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, Matt Ryan. So I want to know, guys, what do you think is, the reason for this, if you had to speculate?
I feel like, I mean, it was very hard for me to think either way. I mean, that the positive spin would be that someone said that, like, oh, maybe his last agents were driving too hard of a bargain with the team, and he wanted to go with more of a team friendly situation because he's only lived his entire professional life as a do not rock the boat kind of character.
That's an insane read, I think.
Well, that was what someone said, and as soon as I read it, I was just like, "You are entirely too positive about that." What this means, frankly, in my opinion, is he's just trying to get as much money as possible, and he knew that he would need the highest, most powerful firepower to do so. And you know, like I was lamenting to you guys earlier today, this is a win-win situation for us because, honestly, he's going to ask for too much. Shane knows better. And I don't think at this point he'd even bother using the tag of 32 because that would kill our cap going into next year. So I think at this point it's a work with us or walk.
Yeah, I'll just, before you go, Dan, let me just say the franchise tag is $32 million this year. If Daniel Jones is franchised, that a number immediately comes out of the $47 million in cap space. So basically just kills your cap space, as Colin said before, but just to have the numbers out there.
Yeah. Agree with what Colin said. It's, no hard feelings or this is exactly what Daniel Jones should be doing. This is his time to get as much money as he possibly can. I don't think I would want to pay him some of these numbers that we're seeing flying around, let 45 million, let alone 40 million, let alone even, to be honest with you, I wouldn't go above 35 million.
Agreed.
And, that would have to be a certain structure to it as well, with guaranteed money and an ability to get out after 2 years without having, too much punitive dead cap. I think we have to put things in perspective. I think it's interesting to have the franchise tag because it's our leverage, and to have that ability is going to help us negotiate. I know it'll take away a huge portion of the cap, but you can tag him and see if he gets a better offer on the open market and take that chance. Having him on that contract for one more year to really prove if he's actually able to be better than he was this year. Because if you're paying him that much money, he has to be better than he was this year. No bones about it. Obviously, we had a good season. He did some good things, but what was he averaging? 170 yards passing, and the rushing yards. It's not elite quarterback production. So I think it's interesting. I can't wait to see how this unfolds. I feel like anything is possible right now, which, I think at the end of the season, everyone's like, oh, they're going to button up. They're going to get something done fairly easily, fairly amicably. I think this is going to be like a popcorn situation where, everyone's sort of preconceived notions of Daniel Jones might get flipped upside down as him being this sort of pacifistic, go with the flow kind of guy. He might put up a real stink. Sometimes Southern boys can be pretty spoiled by their mommies. It's true. Yeah. No, their poo-poo don't stink down there. Mm-hmm. But in any case, I mean, you guys know where I stand on Daniel Jones. Anything that makes it less likely he'll be on the team for a long time is good in my book. I don't think he is going to be someone that's going to put us in a Super Bowl contention for a long period of time. I think he's a quarterback that could get us to a Super Bowl if everything else falls perfectly. He's not going to lead us to a Super Bowl. And I want a quarterback that's going to make us a threat to the Super Bowl every year he's on the team.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I think it's funny, Dan, you made a good point, just being like, I didn't really expect to be in the situation where Daniel Jones might walk. You kind of just figured he would re-sign, and you kind of figured maybe even we could get a deal done where we'd be, as you described, maybe like a 3 or 4 year deal with some outs for the Giants, team-friendly outs at the end of that. And now here we are in a position where potentially, this guy wants $45 million a year, is going to walk, and I think someone will pay him. I really do. And I hope it's not the Giants, and I don't think it will be the Giants because the front office is too savvy for something like that. Could I see the Raiders signing him for that amount of money? Absolutely. Could I see the Commanders signing him for that amount of money? Absolutely. Among other, of the more poorly run franchises in the NFL who are quarterback needy. I think that a lot of teams are quarterback needy, which definitely drives the price up there. It's just an interesting thing to me because if he's going to be, commanding that amount of money, how much is Lamar Jackson going to be getting on the open market? And if you're going to pay Daniel Jones $45 million, could you pay Lamar Jackson $50 million and be in a vastly better position than you were with Daniel Jones? So, I mean, as much as, I think the Giants could go several ways here. If Jones walks, you have guys like Jacoby Brissett who can come in and be your bridge. I mean, we have Tyrod Taylor already on the roster. Or, you make that big splash. Maybe you don't look to the draft next year to get somebody. I don't know how this is going to play out, but it's definitely interesting. And I definitely err on the side with both of you guys that Jones wants to get paid because why wouldn't he?
And you know what the unfortunate thing about it is the market is so predicated on, like, I don't know, what's the word? It's set by the position more so by the skill of the player. So it's infuriating that someone like him, who is a talented guy, but who doesn't seemingly have all of it to put it together consistently, he'll garner that money anyway. And it's a bummer that has to be the case. Like, why couldn't he be paid what, in our opinions, what he actually is worth? And that is a somewhat inconsistent, maybe on the rise, but we don't know for sure, younger quarterback who has the physical tools, but maybe not the complete know-how to put it all together in the long run.
Yeah. I think this is a uniquely fascinating position. It's something different than like Jimmy Garoppolo or something like that. I think there are things about him that are intriguing to general managers and the fact that he can run a bit. But if you were to listen to a podcast last week before these like 40 plus figures have been flying around, draft experts and salary cap experts and, writers and stuff, we're talking about how like 30 is too rich for their blood. And, now the conversation simply by saying that he wants that much money is shifted to be like, all right, well, 40 at a certain amount of years. Like, I think there's a big discrepancy between where like public knowledge is and where, inside coaching like thoughts are on him. There's a huge divide between, what NFL ownership and NFL coaches look for in quarterbacks versus like leadership versus actual skill. I mean, I think it's just going to highlight a lot of things and crystallize a lot of things about the league that we sort of wonder about or assume. It's just, I don't know. I hope we just don't pay a ton of money for what is in all likelihood going to be a middle of the road quarterback.
And isn't there some interesting timeline too? Like, it's pushed out a little bit further because we went through to a certain period of time and then I forget what it was.
I don't know.
So they have until March 7th to put the franchise tag on him. And then they would have until June 15th to potentially sign him to a long-term deal. After that, he'd have to play on the franchise tag. The only caveat with the long-term deal is that he would need to be paid at least what the franchise tag was this year. So in this year, he would have to get paid $32 million. However, you can prorate that over the years to save your cap space. Mm-hmm. That being said, by June 15th, who's left on the market? I mean, you have some guys that, are going to come in after some injuries happen in training camp, but obviously the people who are, cream of the crop are, long gone by then. So Giants have a very interesting situation. I think another thing that adds to that situation is you have Saquon Barkley as well that needs to be re-signed or not. And then, we were floating the franchise tag around for him a lot because, at $10 million a year, that's not that bad of a place to be. I'm hearing more, $14 million is the place where it's going to be. I already know what the answer is going to be to this question, guys, but what happens if the franchise tag is used on Daniel Jones? Is there any possibility the Giants re-sign Saquon Barkley?
No, not even remotely.
Yeah. I hope not, unless he wants to re-sign for less than $7 million. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to re-sign Jones, or if you were to franchise Jones, that would leave you with $15 million in cap space. So that just goes to show you. I mean, it's not if you're paying Saquon $14 million a year, doesn't necessarily mean his cap hit has to be $14 million a year, but it still puts you in a place where, linebacker, offensive line, wide receiver, cornerback, whatever number of other positions on this team are just going to be exactly what they were last year. You're fielding the same roster essentially.
I want to know if you guys have you guys noticed this thing? Like there are definitely two kinds of Giants fans out there that we sort of don't get along with. Generally speaking, it's like the Daniel Jones truthers and the Saquon's truthers that both think are like absolutely critical to the success of the team. And now I'm seeing like tweets, which to me are hilarious. They're like, Daniel Jones wants $40 million. How can you even think about that when we got to sign Saquon? And it's like, guys, like, totally
that's
different.
not it, man. Like there's a lot of arguments there, and that is the worst one.
First, we got to get Saquon, and then we got to get Daniel. But like, let's first make sure Saquon squared away. It's just backwards, and I don't know, man. Like why waste a franchise head on running back in principle?
Well,
you know, you got to get cost control on other positions.
These are the kind of people that still don't understand that this is the modern NFL and it's not 1995 anymore with the Emmitt Smiths and, you know, those type of characters running around.
By the way, Colin, I saw a picture of Mike Allstott with his shirt off on Twitter. Guys, shredded ripped. You'd be happy
right now.
Oh, he looks like he could run through a wall. Yeah.
Jesus, I would have figured he would have gotten kind of like beer.
He actually looks like a wall. He looks like a brick wall. It's insane.
Is he in the public eye? Is he doing anything? What's his deal?
I mean, I don't know. He was taking a picture with like Bert Kreischer and someone else. I forgot who it was. Shirtless.
Probably leaping fullback sneaks on the goal line. Is what he's doing right now.
Man, what a fun player that guy was.
Yeah.
You knew they were running that play every single time, and it worked every single time.
I mean, like he looked like he was going backwards when he ran, and he was still faster than some of the people out there, and then ran everybody over. Oh, it was so lovely. It was that's the old school football right there.
That's a kind of player that, you know, maybe you're a tight end in the league now if you're lucky.
Oh, he's like a Jim Kleinsasser through and through.
Jim Kleinsasser, famed Viking, of course.
Feed the hot hand.
The hoops action to the palm of your hand with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This week, new customers can bet $5 and win $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, for a limited time, all new and existing customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay every day. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Opt in and place a same-game parlay in any NBA game, and if it doesn't hit, you'll get a free bet back. Download the app now and sign up with code TPPN. New customers can bet $5 in the NBA and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, with code TPPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. Vote in Ohio. See show notes for details. Hasn't Ohio been through enough recently? Oh my goodness. Yeah, he's the best. So free agency, guys. Maybe we do a couple position groups, talk about a few guys that you might like. Where do you guys want to start? What's the most glaring need? Running back. All right, start at running back.
Okay, all right.
We probably won't hit every position of need today, but let's start running back.
Caveat that running back's not the most position of need, but
it's not. But since we're on topic, let's do it.
Well, okay. I'll say a high money choice and a lower money choice. Okay.
Sure.
So people are freaking out because they want Saquon and they want like a brand name. I say, forget Saquon, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
He's 27. Saquon's 26. Kareem Hunt's played half the amount of snaps as Saquon, even with Saquon barely playing years because he's splitting carries with Nick Chubb. Saquon's projected, market value is 12 million plus. Kareem's is 7 million. So if you want to spend a bunch of money on a running back, which I don't advocate for, I'd say let's go Kareem Hunt. There's, I guess he loses something in
integrity
for sure. But I think he's one of the better running backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
Go cheap. Donta Foreman from Carolina.
Sure. 26,
fast, did really well in Christian McCaffrey's absence for them on a team that had sort of no offense. You probably get him for $2 to $3 million a year. Running backs don't matter.
You know who I think the Giants really needs to go for is Ernest Johnson.
I like him too.
Third string running back on the Browns, 26 years old.
Yeah.
He started, I think, 1 or 2 games and just exploded
every time
when he was given the opportunity.
Every time, yeah.
Market value, $2.5 million. I mean, I'm sure someone's going to pay him double that, but,
maybe.
could be worth it.
But
maybe
maybe not because they're running backs.
That's right.
So I just want to nip it in the bud already and come on board, Boston Scott. Let's bring him on. Let's just enough.
your enemies
Enough
closer.
already. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. He'd cost nothing. He'll probably only score touchdowns against us while playing for us somehow.
I was just gonna say, like, you sign him and just keep him on the bench so he doesn't have to play against you.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point there. But like, honestly, I'm looking at this list and it's like, I mean, I sort of wish Mark Ingram was younger because that would be fun because his dad was a Giant. Like that would be just a fun story, but that's not happening. He's on his way out.
Yeah, don't need that.
I mean, who else is on here who's kind of interesting?
There's really, I mean, Jamal Williams is cool, but he's going to take too much money because he had so many touchdowns, and I don't think he is, you know, an every down back.
Oh, here's a good one. Miles Sanders.
Wow.
He's gonna be too much money, but I think it would be fun to sign Miles
Market
Sanders
value
and
is
Boston
say $7
Scott.
million. I don't think the Eagles are going to pay him a ton of money because they
Probably
know the value
not.
of a running back.
Sign them both. Sign the whole Eagles backfield except for Gainwell.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still less money than Saquon.
Yeah, if you sign all of them, all three of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, not
It's
Gainwell's
less-
not a free agent, but Sanders
yeah.
and Scott are free agents.
I look at this list and I'm just like, as long as it's anyone but who's at the top of the free agency list who's going to garner the most amount of money. I honestly like just or draft somebody and then keep the guys we already have.
Yeah,
I think the draft
How about
is where
you
you're going to get a running back.
draft picks in the 6th and 7th round to get a running back, and we'll be in the same position.
Or later.
Well, 6th and 7th rounder. That's pretty late.
How many sevenths do we have is what I mean.
Just accumulate like 7 round picks and just get every running back left.
We have to do a correction from last episode because Kadarius Toney was traded for a 3rd and a 6th, not a 3rd and a 5th. We said a 5th round. So we do have 2 6th round picks. So I think that's a prime spot to pick Saquon's replacement.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I before we went to running back, I wanted to go for one that was just, a continuation if it leads to it. What if we, let's talk quarterback here. Who would we get if we got a free agent, if Tyrod, rides into the sunset or does whatever he does, who would be interesting?
Lamar.
No.
Why not?
I mean, imagine he gets paid less than whatever Daniel Jones ends up getting.
I'm just saying, I said it before, and I think the contracts are going to be very similar. Which is, we touched on it. It all depends on where you want to go. Do you want to get younger? Do you want to go free agent? Because I think if you're going to bridge to next year, Tyrod Taylor is a fine bridge quarterback to next year.
Sure, but let's set the situation like Tyrod's gone for whatever reason. He just goes. Oh. So we have to get someone who would kind of replace him as his either elder statesman who can start and will start games in this scenario.
Brissett or Heineke would be my picks.
Yeah, I was going to say Heineke.
I mean, what if we brought Geno home?
No,
I think that he's gonna be franchise tagged on that team.
You think so?
Guess.
Yeah,
or signed to a deal. Yeah.
Okay.
The Seahawks are gonna bring him back.
But think about how ridiculous that would be to have had him on your team. He started a game and played terribly.
Yeah.
To bring him back for like 4 times the amount of money he was getting paid. So I imagine like $1 million.
We could do
Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to go there. I knew it. Yes. I would love that more than anything, even if he sucks.
Yeah.
A Minshew, Tyrod Taylor training camp battle.
Oh,
it's just so much ammunition for this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
Sick.
Oh, do you think Tyrod will grow a mustache too? Just because?
I bet you he already has one.
I think he has one.
Like a bushier one, like one, like 70s style.
I think they'd be best friends, man.
Yeah.
I hope so. That'd be my dream. I love both those guys.
The only other person out there I think is maybe Teddy Bridgewater.
I
liked.
Yeah.
I know.
What do you think about?
These
are
Jimmy
restricted free agents.
No,
Tyler Huntley would be interesting.
He was.
He's restricted, but
was
he replaced Lamar.
Yeah. Oh, Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
That doesn't help us though. He'd want a bigger contract just because of that.
You're tempted to say like some of those dudes that backups in San Francisco, but then you never know because it's San Francisco and they just make every quarterback good. It's not a great, free agent class.
No, it's not.
Tom Brady.
I'd rather, what I'd rather, I'm not even about
He is thankfully gone for good, you would imagine.
Yeah.
But guess what, guys? You're going to see him every Sunday on some pregame show for a decade.
Locked in yet. He's going to take a gap year. I thought he signed
the biggest deal.
Nope. It's a gap year. He's not doing it this season. It's not happening. Thank God. And also apparently Greg Olson's ready to fight him if it comes to it. That's what it seems like. He'd be very. Did you see how that would work out? He's the #1 Fox analyst, and if the moment Tom comes on, he gets dropped from the #1 spot, which is $10 million a year, to $3 million a year, and just for the fact that the guy shows up, and it's just like that really blows for Greg Olson. But I mean, what are you gonna do? It's
not Tom Brady.
Yeah, he did a good job in the Super Bowl. Not for nothing.
I was shocked that they gave him the Super Bowl, to be honest with you. But the Kevin Burkhardt is a vet, so
yeah, he's very milk toast, but like it's fine. He won't mess up. That'll be what you look for him. Why don't we talk wide receivers next?
Yeah, I think we should to get to that as well. Dan is gone, I guess.
Or is he just very happy?
I don't know. He's just been sitting on his little square on the YouTube channel, smiling for a while, and he's gone. All right. Anyway,
internet dropped. He'll be back.
He'll be back. Let's get into wide receiver. And I was gonna ask before we got into free agents, like obviously Odell Beckham is a free agent as well, but I want to ask you guys, what kind of contract would you sign him to, or would you not sign him? Because I think everybody wants him back.
It's super incentive laden. It has to be. I mean, he's gonna get a lot anyway. I don't know. I mean, it screams to me like a 2-year deal, because you want to give him more than the one to make him feel better about it, because he feels like he's deserving of a larger deal. But his injury history, Dan, if you don't know, we're talking Odell and a possibility of what kind of a contract he would be deserving of and what would make sense for us. And I'm just basically saying that a 2-year deal is decent because you don't know about his injury, coming up. But a 1 year would probably just scare him off. How much money? I'm not sure, but incentive laden all the way. He's got to show that he can run on it and run on it consistently. I mean, everyone would love it. I don't care. I mean, even the old boomers that are going to be pissed off, and maybe that's the final straw. I'm not watching another game if they haven't done that already. Who cares? Yeah, I mean, I think that would be very interesting. You've not really heard anything in a while about that. Everything else has started to kind of overshadow that, which is kind of good because he's not in the news. He's not, Mr. Popular right now. He might have to work for a contract a bit. And it's not going to happen until the quarterback situation gets figured out. So, I don't know. TJ, what do you think? What kind of contract what kind of contract do you think he would want, and what he would actually get?
I think what's obvious to me is that he thinks he's going to go to a team and be like the highest paid wide receiver on a long-term deal, immediately.
Not happening.
And I don't think that makes any sense whatsoever. I think there will be a reality check for him once free agency starts about really what he's going to get paid. More so what I'm thinking now is, if Saquon doesn't come back, then I don't think Odell has as much incentive to come back to the Giants because he did, say that he wanted to play with him again. That being said, I think it depends a lot also what the Giants are doing with quarterback. When you get to the end of your career like Odell is, I know he did win a ring, but, you're chasing championships too. So I think that, I don't know, maybe he's the kind of guy who's chasing money now. I'm not sure, but he's chasing something, and I'm not sure if the Giants are the team that's going to be able to offer it to him.
Maybe he's chasing boxes of pizza on a hotel room bed. I don't know.
Oh, was that the one where that girl was like,
yeah,
it looked like she was doing pixie sticks in the back of the bus?
I don't know. Who the hell knows? I mean, I don't even care about that kind of stuff. I mean, it's been quiet on his front. I don't know. It's an interesting.
Oh, really? I saw him with Drake in a club, and the guy was letting them out the back door, and then Drake and his crew just beat the living crap out of this poor kid for no reason. It would appear. Yeah, I don't know why that wasn't in the news, but Odell was there.
Oh,
but he wasn't.
That's not
He
great.
was like in the back, hollering, but not like throwing any blows or anything like that. But
Yeah.
he's still out there being a bozo occasionally, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bozo.
I mean, I don't have a lot to say about Odell. Obviously, I've been pretty vocal about how I think it'd be awesome for him to be back in the team, but I don't think there's any way his expectations are going to be met by any team, and I especially don't think the Giants are going to pay him what he's going to want. Though he might be realistic and do a 1 year, very cheap deal, like you're saying, incentive laden, which could be interesting. I don't necessarily know that that's the best thing for this Giants team where they are currently, and building, and especially if they're going to devote a ton of cap to Daniel Jones. Did you guys talk about other wide receivers you liked yet?
No, that's it.
No, we just started. That was the first thing I wanted to ask because I didn't really want like Odell to cloud the conversation come up later and just get that out of the way.
Okay.
Since we've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah,
but
not much to say.
Tell me, guys. I mean, who out there on the free agency wide receiver market are you looking for? And I mean, I would consider, if we're gonna think about drafting someone in the first round, where that person might sit on the depth chart and to what the Giants might want to pay for a guy to come in. There aren't a lot of huge names out there, but I think there are quite a few people that could come in and really contribute. So I'm just curious, like, who your top choices would be, guys.
Dan, you can go first.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting players in here. Some very highly drafted wide receivers, and with a lot of sort of raw talent that I think has potentially been untapped to like the farthest extent, and also wide receivers that seem to be the kind that Joe Shane and Dave will want. The two I'm most interested in are Mecole Hardman and Paris Campbell. Mecole Hardman on KC and Paris Campbell from Indiana. Hardman, obviously, I think they're physically similar wide receivers, very, very fast, very dynamic when the ball's in their hand. Hardman's got an interesting edge because he comes from KC, and that's where Kafka's from. So there should be familiarity with the system and program, but I do think he'll demand more salary cap. Paris Campbell's from Indianapolis, and was super high drafted somewhere, I think in the middle first round pick, or maybe it was a second round pick. But out of Ohio State, again, just someone that you want to get the ball in his hands in space. I think his salary cap will be much lower than Hardman, so it could be a really good value. Both guys are young. Campbell's 25, Hardman's 24. That's the kind of signing I think would be really, really great to make. And I'd be stoked if we got either one of them or both. I think both is not going to happen, but either one of them would be an awesome sort of add to whoever we pick up in the draft. I'd feel pretty excited having one of those guys, Robinson, Hodgins, maybe a nice tight end we get in the draft to pair with Bellinger, and then we're off to the races.
Yeah,
can I just interject before you go, Colin? I think that's funny when you said, those two guys, because two of them are two of the fastest guys in the NFL. So I think a lot of maybe the plan that they had with Wan'Dale and Tony at the beginning of the year can sort of be brought over to next season with one of those guys in the place of Tony, and presumably with a healthy Wan'Dale Robinson. I really like Paris Campbell. I do hope he's a Giant, and I think his cap number is going to be, easy for them to absorb.
Yeah. Well, and I think it plays right into what I was going to say is like, this is not going to be one of those, it's the off season free agency period, and we need to go and overspend on someone dopey like Kenny Golladay. It's not going to be like that. I think this is going to kind of be for lack of better words, a committee situation where you're adding some talent. It may not be the highest contract that a free agent's going to get this season, but I don't think that's what we need either. We need a bunch of pieces that can be interchangeable, can have wear a bunch of different hats in terms of seeing what Wan'Dale was doing early on with taking some handoffs out of the backfield and just be all over the place in terms of the options of the offense. So yeah, I agree with those two guys. I mean, I'm looking at the list right now, and it's like, besides them, I mean, DJ Chark is cool. That's just going to be one of those higher contracts. I feel like that. I don't know.
He'll probably demand more. Yeah.
That depends.
Yeah. We don't need that. I mean, Alan Lazard, that could be. I feel like that could be a possibility. He's fast. He's bigger.
I think that's his size is really what is attractive for the Giants because they really were lacking a big-bodied guy. I mean, 6'5", 227, 27 years old, coming off 60 grabs, 800 yards, and 6 touchdowns. The numbers aren't fantastic, but
it's good.
I do think that, I don't necessarily think that any of these guys are going to really reset the wide receiver market. And I realize that none of them are good enough to do that, but I don't even think they're really going to be approaching some of those higher numbers. I like Lazard. The other guy I really like is Jacoby Myers too from New England. I do like him. Undrafted, 6'2", 200 pounds, another big guy. I had him on my fantasy team the last 2 years. That's the only reason why I've really been following him. What he lacks kind of in his end zone production, he is a good deep threat and a good possession guy. So I think he's the only person really free agent wise that kind of slots into that number 1 wide receiver role. I think everybody else is a good number 2. I don't think Lazard's number 1. I don't think DJ Shark is the number 1. But I like Shark though. He got hurt. I think he's going to command less money than the other 2 guys just because of the injury history. But that's another thing too. You don't want to be signing a lot of guys with injury histories. Paris Campbell too. Huge injury history. You got to consider.
Someone I wanted to raise before I forget. I have 2 points. This individual, because I think he could be Wan'Dale Robinson insurance, which is your boy Greg Dortch from Arizona. Another super tiny, super fast, just scat back almost, wide receiver that could, in my mind, do a lot of the things Wan'Dale is trying to do. And the other thing to note is so we're talking about guys like Mecole Hardman and Paris Campbell, who I think, we'd be unanimously pretty pumped on grabbing at a reasonable contract. I think those are also the kind of players that would want to come to the Giants now, where in years past they wouldn't, because they know they're going to have ample opportunity because there's no competition, and they know they're going to be put in a great place to succeed because of the coaching. So I think we are becoming a place where we might get favorable deals more than having to pay through the nose for players that aren't even that great.
And what plays into that too is that number 1 wide receiver thing. Like I was saying before, I don't know if we're going to have one. I think it's going to be you might have a bigger guy playing the X, but that doesn't mean he's the number 1 guy.
No, we're not going to have one unless we get it in the draft.
Well, yes, that's exactly it. And frankly, I mean, let's be real. I think it's, whether we like it or not, it's probably not far out of the conversation for low-level signings, and in this case, re-signings. Your boy Richie James is probably going to come back at some cheap deal too. I mean,
there's no market for him, that's for sure.
Well, they need someone to return kicks. So,
and he knows the offense. And frankly, I saw something silly, like he was in the top 7 in the league in separation this season, which is kind of bizarre.
He was the Giants' leading receiver through many weeks this year.
And you know what? He elevated himself. It was great. I mean, I don't know if that was him doing it himself or if it was the offense around him or whatever. But I mean, he played.
He wasn't very good. He wasn't very good.
I mean,
it's just comparatively to what was on the
comparatively
team.
nothing. Yeah.
But yes, I'm not saying he's a great player. He's a guy who knows the system. I know. And I feel like coaches love him, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's back at a low-level deal.
Yeah, very low-level deal. Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, he wasn't getting paid much anyway.
No.
I don't think he, projects to make any more money than he was making last year. So
no, probably not.
Even though it probably was his best season statistically, just by the nature of who was catching passes for the Giants all year.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. Should we wrap up the offense and save defense for next week? I think that makes sense. So,
yes.
I'm assuming interior offensive line is the last place we need to go on offense.
Sure.
We look at offensive line. We have 2 bookends. Andrew Thomas, presumably best left tackle in football next year. Evan Neal, who had a rough rookie season, will hopefully be better. And then Glowinski is under contract again for a year, who was one of the only free agents Shane signed to a multiple-year deal last year. So
2 years.
2 years, yeah, exactly. So you're looking at, a guard and a center. Nick Gates could potentially be re-signed, could potentially come back as a starter, but who's out there for you guys? And I just want to say one first because I'm all ready for the Justin Pugh reunion tour.
Bring T-Rex arms home, baby. Bring him home.
I see $5.5 million a year projected. That's easy in the salary cap. He had a good year last year, 61 ranked overall in not overall, 61 PFF rating. I'm all about it. Let's go. What's a Giant? Always a Giant.
When if you then I'll just steal from what you said earlier today. You got to get your boy, Mr. Mullet himself, Dan Feeney from the Jets. He doesn't have to move very far. Just bring him on board. You know, he's looking hard as hell with that mustache mullet combo. I have no idea. I have no idea if he was good last year. Not a clue. I don't care.
He was okay. He was good. He was about Feliciano good last year. They're comparative compared to each other, but I don't think Feliciano has the mullet, strength in mullet.
It's close.
Or the strength in porn stash. I think Dan Feeney is much higher ranked in that.
Well, Feliciano, I think, I mean, if I remember correctly, his hair was likened to Sylvester Stallone in that picture that we related to our old gym teacher from high school.
Oh, like curly haired Stallone.
Yeah, like a little bit of a perm situation.
Yeah,
which is
perm Stallone.
It's a good
look. It's good for a band, Perm Stallone.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this list here. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, it's hard to know a lot of Will Hernandez. He couldn't get any further from this team. Bobby Hart too, my cousin.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to see you ever again.
No. You know who I love? I like the most is a guy, Ethan Pochik from the Browns. He had a fantastic season last year. He's 27 years old, solid in every facet of the game. Looks to only be commanding about $7.2 million a year. That's the guy you want. And you might splurge a little extra cash on to sign to a long-term deal, hold down your line. The other person I really like is Garrett Bradbury from the Vikings.
Yeah.
He might command a little bit more money though. So I think, you have a similar player in Ethan Pochik who will be cheaper. I think that's probably my number one. But if you have to spend a little more, I think you need to do it. I think you need to do it.
Did he play with Glowinski in Cleveland?
I don't know, but considering his age, I would imagine that he was drafted by the team. So, I mean, I can look it up.
Well, I mean, not that it matters too much, but it's always good when there's familiarity on the line, one way or the other.
True.
Yeah. I don't have a ton of interior free agents that I really love in this year.
You have any tackles? Because I can say one thing. What if, just speculate for a second, what if we kick Evan Neal inside, make him a guard, and then we're looking for a right tackle?
Yeah, I'm not against it. I don't think they'll do that. I think they have way too much invested in him to do that. And any tackle we're going to get is going to demand, like we want to get, is going to demand a huge amount of salary cap, which we won't be able to give if we're trying to sign Daniel Jones. So yeah, I might say, no free agent right now is worth talking about.
Yeah,
I definitely don't know that, but I would want to highlight the fact that I think this draft has a lot of good depth in the interior offensive line.
Then it makes it easy.
I would very much not be opposed to drafting 2 or 3 guard/centers in this year's draft.
Yeah. We have the picks.
I think this is where you spend the money in free agency. This is where the Giants need the most help.
Look at all these guys that are the best interior offensive linemen. They're all taken like the 5th and 6th rounds. Take a couple shots at that. Get them cost controlled for a number of years. Get them come up together. And that's where my head's at. But
I'm not against that either. I think spending a little bit of money on one guy would
really
one
guy,
worth
but
it
like
for them.
Not too much.
Like Isaac Semelu from the Eagles.
From the Eagles,
he's going to be like $12 million. Like,
that's too much. I'm thinking, between 7.5 is not bad. It's a little much for interior line, but if it's going to be,
do you know
someone
you have
who really
like a all-star level?
I mean, just I was reading 80 PFF grade last year. I mean, he wasn't the Seahawks. I just looked it up. Signed a 1-year, I guess, prove it deal with Cleveland. Proved it to me or proved it to somebody out there, just from the research I've done today. But I don't know. I'm not saying throw the money at someone if you don't like him. It just would seem to me from the evaluations that I've read compared to the cap number that he's commanding that it would be probably a good investment for the Giants.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have much more on the line either.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
No. I wanted to do a side tangent because we brought up Will Hernandez. And did any of you guys see the video of Gannon going to Arizona and saying hi to like all the players and stuff in the locker room?
No.
No.
Oh my God. do yourself a favor. There's a clip of him like introducing all himself, like dapping up all the guys in the locker room. He says hi to Will Hernandez. He's like, "Oh, Will Hernandez, I know you. Big guy." And he's like talking right to him. It's like obviously he's a big guy. But the most like just like creep out of your skin, like cringe-worthy thing I've ever seen was him talk to what's his name? The smaller wide receiver on the Cardinals. That's got the same last name as all those other dudes. Like he's like the slot wide receiver. There's a guy in the Jets that has the same last name as him.
Oh yeah,
Wilson.
No. Oh my God! I just had in my head for a sec. Oh, cow! This is awful podcasting.
Oh my, Marquise Brown.
No.
Robbie Anderson.
Nope.
no.
Rondale Moore.
Yes, Rondale Moore.
Yeah.
God damn. Anyway, he just like he's like, yo, man, and he like gives him slaps him 5, and then he like so this grin on his face, and he like looks him up and down, and then he just goes buzz, 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 and like Rondale Moore's just staring at him. He's like taking shots. You're fast. We're throwing the ball. And it was just the creepiest, the cadence of the way he said everything. It's like, I know instantly this is going to be a massive disaster. This team is going to be horrendous.
Wait.
Just from that interaction?
He's like, yo. And then he like looks up his body, and then he just goes out of nowhere. Bzz, bzz, bzz. And it's just the strangest, most inhuman thing I've ever seen.
Wait, who the hell are we talking about again? Right? Who's saying
the Eagles' defensive coordinator? That's the new head coach of the Cardinals.
And he's a big weirdo, huh?
I mean, from that clip, I don't care what you say about him. He's a big weirdo.
All right. Well, you know what? It's funny. There's
Rondale
this whole
Moore.
like,
I can't believe I can remember that.
there's this like area of coaching and coaches that are starting to break into the head coaching ranks. That when you look at them and you're like, I feel like Dr. Sullivan. I want to poke him in the chest and say, "You're not gonna graduate. You're not gonna be successful. You look like you are going to fail, and it's already out there. You're already."
Oh, can we just for the listeners out there who don't know, Dr. Sullivan was the lead guidance counselor in our high school they went to, and he poked Colin in the chest and told him he wasn't going to college.
Yep.
Colin, did you go to college?
I went to college. I graduated too. You scumbag.
Yeah, I know. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes, Dr. Sullivan.
Yeah.
Where are you at now, Dr. Sullivan? What are you doing? You're a guidance counselor. What kind of job is that?
He's retired. And did I tell you the random? I told you the random story where I met his daughters on the train. Yeah.
You told it on this podcast, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, was it like 2 years ago now?
It was riveting radio for everybody out there.
Well, I bet it was. Anyway, he's a jerk. Again, I'll say it forever. Any opportunity I get to make that guy.
I loved it. I thought it was funny. I still do to this day. Anything else tonight, guys?
I was going to bring up tight ends, but I'm looking at the list and I don't care.
Let's do tight end next week. We've kind of gone over if we need to do like a little offensive wrap up after we do defense next week. Let's do that.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for listening. Follow Big Blue United, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, BBU Pod, Boys with the Z on Twitter. Download that DraftKings app. Use promo code TPPN, and don't forget to check out heydude.com for all your footwear needs. It's heydude.com.
Be brave.
Be brave to have style.
Be brave.
Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.